Hi, and welcome to Time to Read with Mr. Barry. And today we are taking a look at a book called Finding Winnie, the true story of the world's most famous bear by Lindsay Maddock, illustrated by Sophie Blackall. The world's most famous bear, and the book is called Finding Winnie. Can you think of who that bear might be? Cameron, who do you think it is?
Winnie the Pooh.
Winnie the Pooh, that's right. And in our house, Winnie the Pooh is one of our favorite characters. So we grabbed a couple of Winnie the Pooh books. Maybe you've seen this one before. This is a fun one. And before Disney started drawing Winnie the Pooh this way, when he was first created by the author A.A. Milne, he was drawn this way. And I don't know if you can see that very well, but there were a couple of chapter books that were written a long, long time ago, almost 100 years ago. And that was where Winnie the Pooh started, in a couple of books. And now there are so many children's stories about him. So the story today that we're going to read is Finding Winnie, and this is how that bear came into A.A. Milne's life and how he decided to start writing stories about him. So let's see all about that today, and we'll get started right now. "Could you tell me a story?" asked Cole. "It's awfully late. It was long past dark and time to be asleep." "What kind of story?" "You know, a true story. One about a bear." We cuddled up close. "I'll do my best," I said. A very long time ago, about 100 years before you were born, there was a veterinarian who lived in Winnipeg. His name was Harry Colburn. "A vegetarian?" said Cole. "Bear doesn't like vegetables." "A veterinarian. It means an animal doctor." "I know that," Cole said. "That's what I'm going to maybe be when I'm big." If a horse had the hiccups or a cow had a cough, Harry knew how to make them feel just right. Harry's hands were never cold, even in Winnipeg, where winters are so frosty that icicles grow on the insides of your nose. That was just the kind of doctor he was. But a day came when Harry had to say goodbye to Winnipeg. There was a war far, far away, beyond the end of the country and on the other side of the ocean, and he was going to help. He would be caring for the soldiers' horses. Harry rode east on a train full of other soldiers. He leaned his head against the window, watching the land scroll by, wondering what it would be like to be so far from home. The train rolled right through dinner and over the sunset and around 10 o'clock and into a nap and out the next day until it stopped at a place called White River. Harry decided to stretch his legs. On the train platform was a man on a bench with a baby. "Baby," said Cole, annoyed. "A baby bear, a cub." Harry stopped. It's not every day that you see a bear cub at a train station. That bear has lost its mother, he thought, and that man must be the trapper who got her. "What do trappers do?" asked Cole. "It's what trappers don't do. They don't raise bears." "Raise them? You know," I said. "Love them." Harry thought for a long time, and then he said to himself, "There is something special about that bear." He felt inside his pocket and said, "I shouldn't." He paced back and forth and said, "I can't." Then his heart made up his mind, and he walked up to the trapper and said, "I'll give you $20 for the bear." "Is $20 a lot?" asked Cole. "Back then," I said, "even more than a lot." Do you see him trying to decide? I think he thought that trapper, the man with the bear, was not going to treat it very well, and he wanted to take good care of it. "Captain Colburn," said the colonel on the train as the little bear sniffed at his knees, "we are on a journey of thousands of miles, heading into the thick of battle, and you propose to bring this most dangerous creature?" Bear stood straight up on her hind legs as if to salute the colonel. The colonel stopped speaking at once, and then, in quite a different voice, he said, "Oh, hello." The men of Harry's regiment squeezed by to have a look. "I've decided to name her Winnipeg," Harry told them, "so we'll never be far from home. We'll call her Winnie for short." They had a very long way to travel, and they had already gone 3 or 4 feet when Winnie grew hungry. "What do bears eat?" the men wondered. "What don't they eat?" said Harry. "Vegetables?" Cole reminded me. "Winnie ate vegetables," I said. "She ate everything except onions." They brought her carrots and potatoes and apples and tomatoes and eggs and beans and bread and a tin of fish and some slop in a dish. But Winnie was still hungry. "How about dessert?" said Harry, holding up a bottle of condensed milk. Taking the treat in her paws, Winnie lay on her back and hummed a happy song as she drank. The men roared. Don't you think that would be fun to have a little bear to take with you on your trip? Harry and Winnie gathered with soldiers from all over Canada in the green fields of Valcartier. A whole city of tents had sprung up there. One was a hospital for horses. That's where Harry went to work. Winnie was in the army now. Harry taught her to stand up straight and hold her head high and turn this way and that, just so. Soon she was assigned her own post. Even the colonel agreed that Winnie was a remarkable bear. She might have been the best navigator in the whole army. If you hid something, could she find it? She could. What if it was further away and further still? Remarkable, he cried. Do you see Winnie going and looking for whatever they hid from her? She found an apple, I think, in that little picture. In the evenings, both of them were too tired to move. When Harry thought about Winnie and the voyage across the ocean, his head said, "I shouldn't." His head said, "I can't." But his heart made up his mind. So they're still in our part of the world, in a different part of Canada. They had not crossed the ocean yet. He's going to take her with him across the ocean. Nobody had ever tried to float so many people and animals across the Atlantic Ocean. 30 ships sailed together, carrying about 36,000 men and about 7,500 horses, and about one bear named Winnie. Looks like she came along. When they finally arrived in England, the regiment went to training on the Salisbury Plain, where it rained and rained and rained. But Winnie didn't seem to mind. She was the mascot of the 2nd Canadian Infantry Brigade, and she attended her post with vigor. One day, Harry came running while she was doing her exercises in the tent. "You'll bring the whole place down," he said with a laugh. She had grown. Okay, we're about halfway through this book now, and that's where we're going to stop for today. And we will pick things up tomorrow. So now we know how Winnie the Pooh, at least got the first part of his name, a bear named Winnie, from a place called Winnipeg. So now she's crossed the ocean, and she's in a war with her owner. That is really interesting. We will see how this all finishes up, and how the author of the Winnie the Pooh books, A.A. Milne, comes into the story next time. All right, we'll see you guys tomorrow.